Hey everybody, welcome back to Webb's Online. This is the beautiful Webb's warehouse, as you can see. And this is the handsome as ever Joe. Joe is the lead pond tech here at Webb. So I like to bring some of the questions you guys have directly to the source and get some good Q&A for you guys to understand some of the technical points about having a backyard koi pond. So today I wanted to talk about tubing and fittings. And if you're building a new pond, or even if you just like inherited one, you're gutting it, putting all the new machinery in there. What's something that somebody would have to worry about? Like, what is the difference between tubing and fittings, between machine to machine, part to part, and pond to pond?
Mainly we're using barbed fittings or slip fittings, PVC fittings. Mm-hmm. So a lot of equipment includes either a barbed fitting, no fitting, just national pipe thread. So depending on system to system, some are proprietary, so they don't have the option to use one or the other. So barb fittings, those are going to use your vinyl, your rubber, your corrugated, kink-free tubing, and hose clamps. Anything with any kind of half unions or slip fittings, you're going to plumb those with flexible PVC, Schedule 40, and you're basically going to be using your PVC primer and glue with those types of.
And that's more of a permanent adhesion when you use PVC primer and glue.
Those are permanent, so you'd have to cut and extend or use couplings to.
We have so many different types of tubing in this warehouse that if you're already opening up the manuals and you have additional questions, just give us a call. Mm-hmm. Especially if you need to get something that's a little bit longer than what comes from the manufacturer, anything like that. We also have that kind of supplementary tubing. So these are not, this shouldn't come as a surprise. This is often a place where you're going to find a leak. And what can one do when they're trying to diagnose whether the leak is actually there, or at the fitting, or just correct something that they've actually identified?
Sure. So most leaks are going to come from vinyl, kink-free tubing, and those types of fittings. Mainly because there's such a variance in those specific diameters from brand to brand, they're not always going to fit perfectly. So for instance, if you're running tubing in a barb fitting and that tubing is just a little bit loose on the barb, the easiest solution is to actually just take duct tape, which is funny, don't laugh. But
well, it's kind of, people often don't use it for what it's used for, but yeah, it's used for
everything.
Ductwork and whatnot.
Yeah, so take duct tape, you just wrap that barb, just a single wrap, overlap tape, keep it nice and smooth. That'll actually build up on the fitting. Test fit, if it's still a little bit too loose, just give it another wrap, and then slide it over till nice and tight. Hose clamp it, and I assure you that it always works. It just does. Yeah,
because if you guys think about it, it is an industrial grade adhesive, and it does create a good kind of like glossy, rubbery seal.
It's waterproof.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
From there, we have barbed couplings. So you just use 2 hose clamps. You can actually just rejoin that piece of pipe. Simple.
Yeah, it kind of just fits on both ends, and then the middle areas just creates another flow through, right?
Yeah. So even if you're using PVC, flex PVC can sometimes spring a leak. It's much more thicker walled than the latter. But so you just cut that. Use a slip to slip coupling, PVC primer glue, and you're good.
So obviously you find one of these problems, these leaks, you want to fix it. Like, what's the worst case scenario if you don't?
Worst case scenario is that because all this funnels back towards the pump eventually is going to continue to run and push all the water out of the pump. It's not going to return. So a good tip to do is if it's running with a submersible pump, keep that pump off the bottom of the pond, little safety net there in case that happens.
Oh, that's smart, yeah, because then it won't actually just push the last bit of water the fish are depending on.
Right.
Here's another thing. Oftentimes people think, oh my goodness, I have a tear in my fish liner, or my pond liner. And you might not. It might be something like what we just described. So whenever you're starting to see your water levels go down,
quickly. It's usually a pump pushing
It's usually a pump. All right, guys, obviously if you need any kind of tubing, fittings, anything like that, we're literally in a warehouse full of it. So just give Joe a call. He'll tell you which one to buy and how to install it, for your pond at home. So next time, take care and enjoy your pond.